I built a couple of high-tech birdhouses with cameras inside. The birdhouse market is hard these days, and to be attractive to potential residents, I use my CNC to make the house as good as possible. If you want to see how I made this glorious masterpiece, feel free to watch along. Only minutes after installing the first house, a couple has started to make their nest. First off, I modeled a rather tall birdhouse in Fusion 360, my modeling software of choice when it comes to CNC operations. After each season, I believe you should empty a birdhouse, so I made some efforts to make this easier, without it affecting the aesthetics, of course. I made a camera holder with a lot of holes in it for strips, in case I needed them later, and then laid all pieces out to prepare for machining. I got this longer board from the local hardware store, and instead of cutting it to approximately the right length, I attached it sticking out like this. By doing it like this, there will be a lot less spill. I rarely use the CNC in the furthest position, and the controller's USB cable became a problem. The CNC did something I have never seen before. You can see here where the cutting went haywire. I thought this might be because of the interference in the controller cable or maybe dust in the controller. When a second piece in the exact same spot made the same error, I knew that there were something else. Let's rewind a bit. And there we have the perpetrator. To find the 0 point for the machining in the Z-axis, the up and down axis, I use a small piece of paper and lower the machining bit until it clamps the paper. This piece will later be the back plate for one of the houses. Instead of using tabs to hold the piece in place after the machining operation is done, I go with a much easier route of just pulling the piece to one side when it gets close to done. The main housing is made out of pine, and the first door I made from an oak slab I had laying around. I made the hole 40 millimeters in diameter, which is perfect for a lot of the birds flying around my house. If you are really observant, you will see that the piece was not cut straight. Checking with an angle, you can see that it is off by a little bit. This is because my CNC does not have a linked Y-axis, and it is not set up to home when it starts up. When the motors are turned off, they are able to move independently, which in turn makes the X-axis have a small angle relative to the build plate. Fortunately, it was not off by too much. This is also not a project that requires a lot of precision, and the results were okay despite of this. And now onwards to the IKEA phase. I pre-drilled and countersunk each hole before screwing it all together. Another lesson for me incoming. In the 3D model I had some extra millimeters on each side of the door, like to the left and to the right, so that the door would fit. However, I did not think of the extra millimeters I needed in and out directions. The door is made from 18 millimeters wood, and the slot is not even 18 millimeters itself. Some manual labor incoming. For the door to come out, the roof needs to come off. I drilled with a 5mm bit and inserted these 6mm pieces of wood. I punched down the roof to know where to drill the holes on the roof piece. It now sits snug, but it's still not possible to open it. And here you have the 3D printed camera mount I made earlier. The camera is simply stripped into place. I painted the outside of the birdhouse with the same paint I use on my house, and I try not to get too much paint inside of the bird chamber. And the oaken door is treated with some teak oil. And now the camera is screwed into place. Here you can see the lines I carved into the door. This is to make it easier for the birds to get in and out, or especially out. At first I had the great idea to make the power cable go downwards, because of the rain and all that. Here you can see the 3D printed cap I had for the unused Ethernet port as well. Later on I changed my mind and took the cable out sideways instead, in case the bird babies wanted to eat some cable. My clever plan of making the door easy to get in and out when I need it to open in the spring is absolutely going great, and I look forward to the spring next year when I need to get this open. And I shit you not, there was a bird in the house 10 minutes after I had mounted it. Although it doesn't look like it, the bird is real, I promise. There, you can see it move. And here you have the first bird starting to build a nest. Notice the yellow and blue colors on its back. Because the very next day there were some others moving into the house instead. While the birds are doing their thing, I took the opportunity to finish the other birdhouse, which is just like the first one. This one is for my father. He is the one that gave me the idea to make a house like this in the first place. I got a smaller camera for him, so that the camera could be mounted a bit more upwards. I believe this would be better for the focus. Meanwhile, the couple from the other day has made some progress on their nest. Thank you very much for watching, and feel free to like, dislike, subscribe, and feel free to give me more ideas for what to do next in the comments below. Bye!